Hello, everybody. Welcome along for another look at who's going to be going up from League One. Pretty good time to be doing this after a very interesting night on Tuesday, where a bit of nerves may have set in for Wrexham and Wycombe. Wrexham drew with Cambridge. They are 23rd. Wycombe drew with Shrewsbury. They are bottom of the table. We then got wins for Charlton and Stockport as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting. I know a lot of people are still going to be looking at that and thinking, okay, two-horse race for second, Birmingham win the title. But it may be a little bit more interesting if things really go wild for us in League One. Let's deal with Birmingham nice and quickly if we can. Obviously, they're going to win the title. They've got a 9-point cushion in terms of, sorry, it's an 11-point cushion in terms of first to second, and a 14-point cushion first to third, which is the key in terms of automatic promotion. So, if in 2 games' time for Wycombe, when they're at 41, if that has gone up to a 16-point cushion, then obviously Wycombe could only score 15 points in their remaining 5 games, and Birmingham would already at that point be automatically promoted. Is that likely? Potentially, yes, because if you look, Birmingham, so we play Saturday and then it's kind of games in hand on Tuesday night. Birmingham play Barnsley at home, who are bang out of form. Peterborough away isn't straightforward at the moment, but still Birmingham are Birmingham, aren't they? Wycombe, on the other hand, are going to Reading. I did mention the right name there. And then they go to Huddersfield. So whether it be 4 points and 2 points, or 4 points and 6 points, or 0 points and 2 points, or 1 point and 3 points, you see what I'm saying? That 2-point swing is possible, which then would mean Wycombe would only be able to finish 1 point behind Birmingham, and all will be done by them, regardless of whatever else happens elsewhere. So, I'm not good at these maths things, prognostications. Everybody argues about them in the comments as well, but let's be very plain about this, even if you don't want to go into the minutiae of a PhD in maths. Birmingham are going up fairly soon, maybe next midweek. Or they could even have a double celebration at Wembley where they play Peterborough again, and it could be confirmed while they're not playing in league action, but, depending on other teams. It's at the point now where basically everybody else has to win every week after this weekend, assuming Birmingham beat Barnsley, and that is unlikely to happen. Right, let's talk about this potential shootout here, and am I wafting my finger over 2 teams, or maybe 3, or in a wild fantasy land, maybe even 4 as well? We've got them all up on the screen. Look, it's certainly not going to be Bolton, who are in 6th place, miles and miles back, 15 points back from Wrexham. But it might not be as straightforward as a head-to-head between Wrexham and Wycombe. Not just because of that 2-point swing in midweek, but we need to look at fixtures, we need to look at games in hand, and we need to look at the outright damn good form of Charlton Athletic. By the way, Stockport are 3 wins in 4 at the moment. Also, look, let's deal with Wrexham first. 6 to play, 3-point gap, as you can see. They've played 1 more than Wycombe, which is the key. They'd rather have played 1 more than Charlton or Stockport, but that's the way it has dropped. Now, what is interesting about Wrexham's fixtures is basically you can cut them in half. The next 3 look okay, and I know we'll get lots of arguments. Oh, Ben, you'd rather be playing teams in the middle than teams down at the bottom. Well, you have whatever belief you have about the league table and the end of the season, but I think if you'd promised Wrexham Burton at home, then Wigan away, Bristol Rovers at home, so essentially home games where Wrexham are brilliant against 21st and 20th, and an away game against 18th, they would really, really have taken that. And if you can add on minimum 6 points, surely they can win both the home games. They're at 84 with 3 to play. If they can draw the away game as well into the bargain, they're at 85 with 3 to play. And if they win all 3, the pressure is well and truly on, especially given what we're about to talk about in terms of Wycombe's fixtures. The only problem I can foresee for Wrexham is they need to keep the cushion, not just over Wycombe, but over Charlton for reasons we'll go on to in a minute. The last 3 games, Blackpool away, Blackpool are going like a train. They are 3 points off the playoffs, and they are in the best form of anybody in that race for 6th place, which looks open up. Then it's the head-to-head. They play Charlton in round 45. Incredible game, Wrexham versus Charlton. And if you're a Wrexham fan, you are going to want there to be a 7-point gap So it doesn't mean anything for Charlton. They'll be preparing for the playoffs and they won't be able to catch Wrexham. If it's a 6-point gap, as it is now, there is still a chance that Charlton go there, beat Wrexham, and then could make a, unlikely as it seems now, overtake on the final day of the season. You just don't want it to go down to round 46 chaos, do you? So, look, in terms of Wrexham, they are the hot favourites to do this on the basis of the fixtures. And also, it's hard to win games at the end of the season, as we saw with Wrexham drawing with Cambridge and Wycombe drawing with Shrewsbury. Right now, there is a sense, and mathematically it works as well, basically, in terms of points per game, unless Wycombe win all of their last 7, just matching the points per game is going to be enough, as long as it's, as I say, lower than 3 points per game scored by Wycombe between now and the end of the season. So, they've just got to do that and be very careful, as I say, of Charlton and the possibility of allowing them to be, if they're fewer than 5 points ahead of Charlton going into the last 2 games of the season, you know those Charlton fans and the Charlton players and Nathan Jones are going to be thinking, come on, this is on, we can do this. Let's talk about Wycombe. So Wycombe is fascinating. A lot of people will look just at that table and think, okay, win the game in hand, it's all tied up. Wycombe have a superior goal difference to Wrexham and indeed to everyone except Birmingham. And then away we go. But it's not that straightforward. Even to make the overtake and use the game in hand is hard for Wycombe. Their running is just hard, period. But in order to make the overtake and put the pressure on Wrexham, who we've spoken about, have quite a nice first 3 games and then a hard last 3 games. They want to be ahead of them going into the hard running, don't they? But for Wycombe to be able to do that, you need a 3-point swing. So Wycombe would need to match Wrexham, and the fixtures are, it's Burton at home for Wrexham, and Wycombe go to Reading, which if I move that table down 2 more places, you would find Reading, who are playing well. I know they lost. I know there's off-pitch trouble. They lost them on Tuesday, but they're pretty damn hard to beat, aren't they? Draw a lot, but a difficult side. In fact, drawn fewer games than Wycombe, so maybe that'll be the outcome at the weekend. And then they're away at Huddersfield, and at the moment we're looking at Huddersfield, who don't kind of have a full-time manager, who could do anything, really. I know they've lost 4 in 5, but it's a good squad that could just happen to turn up in that game. So the likelihood of the overtake by next midweek, I think, is fairly slim in terms of a 3-point swing over those 2 games. And Wrexham can see to that, can't they, in terms of just beating Burton. It's going to be hard, double away games against sides in the top 8, 7th and 8th, for Wycombe to take the maximum 6 points. But just generally speaking, guys, look at this run-in for Wycombe. They go Reading away, 7th. Huddersfield away, 8th. Stevenage, okay, Stevenage are a bit beachy in 13th. Bolton away, 6th. Charlton at home, 4th. Orient away, they're not out of the playoff race, are they? 10th. Stockport at home, 5th. So your hope for Wycombe, other than win all 7, but your hope is that if there's slips from Charlton and Stockport, then the games, the head-to-heads in round 44 and 46 might not be as stiff as you think. But let's be honest, it's round 44, so it has to be a big, giant gap, 3 games from the end of the season, doesn't it, for the Charlton-Wycombe game to not mean anything. Maybe the Stockport one won't mean anything on the last day, and that's an all right opponent, and Stockport will be preparing for the playoffs. But my take is you're looking for like Burton to nick a point at Wrexham at the weekend, and for Wycombe to have overtaken next midweek, and then the pressure to be on, and then we've got head-to-heads for both, and that Blackpool game isn't straightforward for Wrexham as well. So, yeah, I think Wycombe need to get their noses in front soon, preferably by next Wednesday. So, look, Charlton are, of course, outsiders there with a 6-point gap, but we can play this story, can't we, without it being too far-fetched. I know you think us YouTubers are just hyping everything up, but 6 to play, 6 points behind, and they have got a double head-to-head in round 44 and 45. They go away to Wycombe and they go away to Wrexham. So, and Matt Ashby and I talked about this on the League One predictions, which we'll plug at the end of the show yesterday. I gave the example when I spoke to the great Joby McAnuff about the run in that Reading had, where it looked impossible. They had to go on a winning streak, and they had to go away. He was playing for Reading then. Had to go away to West Ham, and they had to go away to Southampton, and they did. And they beat both of them. And Joby said to me, he said, I think particularly the Southampton game? He said we had no right to win that game, but we were just a machine at that point. We were just winning, and it was just fated that we were going to do it. That's what Charlton need to do. They've already won 2 on the trot. You feel if they can do an 8-game streak to close out the season. I think when Charlton got promoted in 1998, was it? 97, 98? I think they won the last 8 league games before they beat beat Sunderland in the most famous playoff final of all time. Someone fact check me on that. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's not even beyond the realms of possibility for this club to do it because they've done it before. So look, it needs to be that the 6-point gap or fewer is there, preferably fewer, 5, 4, 3, and you're looking lovely if you're a Charlton fan. That does require some mistakes from Wrexham and Wycombe. But if we do go in to, what round is it? It's 44, isn't it? And it's a 6-point gap, then Charlton are going to be thinking, right, beat Wycombe, beat Wrexham, preferably beaten by a couple and swing the goal difference as well, miles towards you. I mean, it's big at the moment. It's 10 difference between Charlton and Wycombe, but Wycombe have got hard games to play, haven't they? And there is that head-to-head. Then it could go down to the last day. 6 out of 6 would mean 90 points, as you can see there. Add on 18 for Charlton. And of course, we can take a game off both Wrexham and Wycombe if Charlton do win 6 out of 6, which would limit them to 93. So then it does go down to 1 game of headroom. But that's not a draw slip-up, that's a defeat slip-up. Look, it's unlikely, but wouldn't it be the heist of the century for Charlton to go through? I think it does need 6 out of 6. And just quickly on Stockport, sorry if Stockport fan, you've been waiting the whole video. Let me make you a deal, because if it's the heist of the century for Charlton, then it's the heist of the millennium for Stockport. That 1 extra point, and traffic is so vital here. People look just at points, but traffic and teams in the way is massive. More so in relegation battles because they move slower. But there's someone else trying to win that you've got to get past, and that is a huge thing rather than just totting up points as we go. But I'm drawing the line there if we've had something like Stockport win at the weekend, Wrexham lose to Burton, and Wycombe lose either of those games to Reading or Huddersfield, then we'll do another one of these videos and we will include Stockport, because the gap would then, it'd only be 4 points, wouldn't it? It'd be 74 Stockport, 78 Wrexham, and a maximum 78 Wycombe if that's happened. So I will include Stockport if that happens. And again, we need 6 out of 6 for Stockport, don't we, to get, what would that be, 89. And it needs to be a horrific collapso for both Wrexham and Wycombe. There is, though, remember that 1 head-to-head in terms of Stockport, where, is it Wycombe they go to on the last day of the season? So, look, just to be perfectly balanced, if I'm talking about head-to-heads when it comes to Charlton, I've got to do it when it comes to Stockport as well. This is brilliant. Fact, you will never work at a place like this ever again. This is brilliant, this run-in. Potentially, we could have 3. In our wildest dreams, we could have 4 teams going into those last couple of games still able to take automatic promotion. In all likelihood, it might be a 2-horse race, but you tell me in the comments. Tell me, will Birmingham be up in 2 games' time? Will Wrexham win a head-to-head with Wycombe for second place? Do you agree with me about Wrexham's fixtures? They've got to keep in front going into the last 3 games with a nice cushion. Gets tricky then. Do you think Charlton could pull the heist of the century, win 6 in 6, including away games at both Wrexham or Wycombe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we will include good old Stockport if we get that nice swing and it's down to 4 points next Wednesday. I promise I'll do that video then. There you go. I'll do it on next Wednesday if Stockport have close to 4 points of second place, whoever is in there. Guys, brilliant. You've got to love it. We cover the Championship mainly on this channel, so 3 of these teams here are going to be in there unless 6th place wins the playoff, which history tells you is fairly unlikely these days. Could happen. But there you go. Probably be one of those, 3 of those 5 teams there. But I have really enjoyed covering League One, doing the predictions with Matt SB. So we'll put the latest show up there. Go and check that out. Go and subscribe to Matt and subscribe here, because if you are a supporter of one of those teams, hopefully you're going to be tuning in to me next season when you're in the Championship. There you go. Let it burn in the comments, guys.